Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today we got the first build of 8.2. We're going to be building the 6 Stormcrows in the Beastmaster Mastery. Now, disclaimer, you can build this many different ways. This is actually the first way that I tried with them. I didn't really respec it all, so there's probably even better ways than this to do it, but this way has been very viable. We went through the 55 timeline just to test it all the way to Orbis, went through it like butter. Then I went into the 100 timelines. We're still able to crit. All 6 of my crows can still crit enemies in the level 100 empowered timelines for 3k damage each. So there's still plenty of damage. They still get quick kills. They're one-shotting the trash mobs there. We didn't stack very many modifiers there. However, this build is very viable and will definitely take you into empowered, but we haven't done a whole lot of testing with it. But it is working extremely well. Another thing of side note, there are many different ways to build inside the skill tree. If you watch my short skill discussion or my first look at the skill tree itself, there's going to be a lot of different interactions that you can do with it. So feel free to mess around with it. If you start with this build, make sure that you actually take the time to try it several different ways, because there's literally no limit to the theory crafting that you could do with it. It's got so many viable nodes inside the tree that synergize with so many aspects of the game. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this way that I built it here. Also, slight note, the build planner is not updated yet. Damn, it did say it would take maybe 3 days to a week. Might even take longer to get it updated, so I'm not going to have that for you guys, but I will have loot filter, we'll have written guide with screenshots. All of that will be in the description below, so feel free to click on that link and check that out if you don't want to pause the video or watch the whole thing. Alright, let's get into the skills, the interactions, and just how all this works. For skills, I'm running Swipe, Summon Frenzy Totem, Warcry, Summon Stormcrows, which will have +2 levels. Those +2 levels will not be on the chest piece. I do not have plus level to the Stormcrows yet. Haven't found it. Gambled a little bit, but haven't found it yet. This is because there's a unique pair of gloves that you can gamble that I got within about 20 tries. The chance for them seems to be pretty high, so I'll show you. You just gamble the gloves of the Outcast. We'll get to that in the gear section, but it gives you +2 levels to all minion skills, which is really cool. And then I also have Summon Wolf. The only thing that we're using the Wolf for is for the Pack Hunters, which gives you +1 maximum companion so that we can run 6 Stormcrows. For Swipe, we're using this to get mana back because our Stormcrows will consume some of our mana, and if you don't have Swipe giving mana, you can run out of mana, which just reduces their damage a little bit, but it's not something that you have to do, and it's not something you have to spec into in the Stormcrows either. There's other ways to get good damage, but in this build we are using it to get mana back. So we've got 3 points in Aspect of the Panther, which will give us some global damage, 1 point in Feline Hunter for some attack speed, 3 points in Wild Calling so that we have the Spirit Wolves on hit chance. This is basically a 45% chance not only to do double the damage because the wolves hit for the same damage you do, but they also hit in a cone and an AoE in front of you, so they actually have an increased AoE damage area for you, and they pierce. We got 2 points in Blood Beast, 1 point in Rending, and 3 points in Duality of Nature so that we gain 9 mana every time we hit an enemy when we swipe. This is much better than trying to use Tempest Strike. The reason we want to stick with Swipe is we want to get in as many attacks as possible on the enemies. One, because the Stormcrows are killing them really quick, which makes it hard for us with something like Tempest Strike to be able to get in multiple hits. Also, the Stormcrows get a buff that we proc, and we have a 20% chance on hits to do it. So we want to get in as many hits to make sure we're getting as many stacks as possible and capping out our Stormcrows. Then we got 4 points in Way of the Hunt and 3 points in Wingarian Reach for some added damage in area. You're going to want that area because your Stormcrows attack from range, and it gets really annoying how quick they can kill things, and you don't have enough time to get on top of things to actually get a hit in. It's funny that you would say that's annoying, but the problem is if you don't attack quick enough and get some hits in, they lose their buffs and then they do less damage. So you're trying to keep them at that full stack the whole time, but it can be hard because they're doing so much damage that they kill things before you can run to them. We're using Summon Frenzy Totem. This does give a big boost to our Stormcrows with cast speed. It also gives us some damage. We got 4 points in Rapidity, 3 points in Revitalizing Totem, 2 points in Symbol of Haste, so we get haste, 1 point in Symbol of Selflessness. The Frenzy Totem effect is increased by 30%, but it only affects companions, so we don't get the attack speed boost, but that's fine. We get Aspect of the Shark, but we get the flat damage, which isn't affected by this. And then we have 3 points in Warding Totem. It'll give our companions 60% physical and elemental resistance. I have not had a crow die yet, and even if I did, wouldn't be a big deal because you can revive them, but if they disappear, all you have to do is summon the skill once, and it summons all of your companions that you're missing to your companion limit in one use. We got 5 points in Grounded. This gives us more global melee physical damage flat. And then we are tethered in with a Dig In and Totemic Reach. For Warcry, you don't really have to use this. I wasn't using it very much. This is a buff for us, but down the line when we convert our Stormcrows to cold, this will be a buff for our Stormcrows as well. And I could see them doing a lot more damage if we go into the cold version, because you can give them 250% increased damage with cold. So cold Stormcrows is going to be an update we do later. I'll come back to Stormcrows. I want to do some other builds first and update them. But Stormcrows is definitely going to be very viable as a cold build. With Warcry, though, we have it set up with 1 point in Staggering, 1 point in Kinetic Scream, 2 points in Shredding Howl, 1 point in Shallow Breath, 1 point in Juggernaut, 1 point in Berserker, 2 points in Brutality, 3 points in Fury Strikes. We really want that attack speed. 2 points in Deep War, 2 points in Battlecry, 1 point in Jumon's Wrath, 2 points in Frostclaw, and 1 point in Bringer of Winter. When we do go with the cold Stormcrows in the future, we'll be able to give them 250% increased cold damage as well as 100% increased critical strike chance, which is huge for them. And then for the summoned Stormcrows. So we have this set up to where we're buffing them, and there's a lot of buffs that give them more damage the more of them there are. And since we're going with the max amount of them that we can have, we took advantage of those nodes in particular. So we've got 2 points in Avis, 1 point in Nimbleness, 2 points in Shredding Beaks, and then we've got 5 points in Murder of Crows, which gives them 20% more damage per crow. So since we have 6 crows, they're doing 120% more damage. Then we have 4 points in Huntsman, or melee attacks that we do have a 20% chance to grant active Stormcrows more damage. Now they get this buff for 10 seconds, and it's 60% damage increased, but they can have 3 stacks, which is 180% more damage. That's a huge boost for them. They will do so much more damage after you get a few melee hits in. This is why we went with Swipe and not Tempest Strike for the mana gain and for the use. Tempest Strike doesn't scale with attack speed. Aspect of the Shard gives us a lot of attack speed, so using Swipe is going to really help you get this maximum 3 stacks for the Stormcrows at all times. Then we've got 2 points in Shatterbolt, 2 points in Pinchers, and 2 points in Observe and Learn. Your melee hits also have a 20% chance to improve the Stormcrow's base critical strike chance for 10 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So, with 2 points in here, we can also give them, with 3 stacks, 24% increased base critical strike chance. So after you get in some melee hits, your Stormcrows will start doing really good damage, and they'll have a 100% crit chance. Then if you find the gloves, or if you get +2 levels on the chest, either way, if you get +2 levels, I put my last 2 points, 1 in Charged Feathers, so they get 10% more lightning damage for every second they haven't attacked up to 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, they'll have 50% increased lightning damage. If you have an Exalted item or the chest you craft along with the unique, you can get up to 26 points. You can throw more points in here and get 50% lightning damage per second, up to 250%, which is huge. And then I have 1 point in Power Play, which gives them 40% more lightning attack damage. However, it does consume 2 of your mana. With 6 crows, that's 12 mana per attacks that they do. Your mana will start to drain, especially like in a boss fight when they're continuously attacking, but that's why we have Swipe. We'll be attacking really fast, and you can keep your mana full as long as you're attacking with Swipe. Just 1 point there isn't too bad. 3 points there, you're not going to have any mana. One side note I do want to do, if you build into the ability of Crow Storm, and you go down this path, you can make it do a lot of damage. I'm not even built into it, and we're hitting the training dummy for 400,000 damage with it, which is crazy. But you can get another 120% more modifier to it, along with, since we have 6 crows, another 240% more damage with it. So you can make it hit in the millions of damage against the training dummy. That is something we will test later. It is a very expensive skill to use, though. And then, of course, we have Summon Wolf. I'm not going to go over the whole tree. The only thing we care about, because we're not actually summoning them, is the 1 point in Pack Hunters for the +1 maximum companion, so that we can have our 6th crow. For passives, I'm running 25 points in the Primalist base class, with 8 points in Natural Attunement, 5 points in Hunter's Restoration, 1 point in Harmony of Blades. We are dual wielding. This is a buff in the amount of damage that you take, and that has been increased in 8.2, so you will be taking 15% increased damage instead of 12% now. Something to look out for in those empowered boss fights. I then have 6 points in Wisdom of the Wild for more minion spell damage, and 5 points in Berserker, so when we do get down to low life, we will do more melee damage, which allows more leech, and we will also take 30% less damage, which is nice. We got 22 points in the Shaman, with 8 points in Shamanic Infusion, 2 points in Ancient Stones, 10 points in Stormbringer to give our minions 50% increased lightning damage, and 5 points in Avatar of Thunder to give our minions 10 spell lightning damage base. And then we have 61 points in the Mastered Beastmaster, with 8 points in Ursane Strength, 1 point in Savagery, 1 point in Ambush, 4 points in Boarheart, 4 points in Porcine Constitution, 1 point in Lamprey Teeth. You don't need this point, but the increased minion health leech will help the crows a little bit, even though all the melee is useless. Rending Maul gives Aspect of the Shark some armor shred chance. 5 points in Primal Strength gives us our highest 20% chance to proc Aspect of the Boar when we do a melee hit, which we'll be doing all of the time. 1 point in Life of the Wilderness to give our companions the endurance that we have. 5 points in the Circle of Life, 1 point in Dragon Slayer, 8 points in Ocean Maul, 1 point in Feeding Frenzy, because we want to stack as many aspects of the shark as possible so that we have increased attack speed so that we can buff our crows with all the attacks that we do. And then Primal Aspects, 6 points in there to make all of the aspect buffs durations last longer. We then have 1 point in Force of Nature for that 6th companion, 5 points in Cry of the Lynx. We will be using the Stormcrow ability every now and then, and when you do it, it gives your companions more critical strike chance. It also gives them more critical strike multiplier, so it really maximizes the amount of damage they do after you use it, and it lasts for about 10 seconds. So the skill itself costs 50 to use. You're not probably going to be able to spam it every 10 seconds, but when you get into rares and boss fights, spamming that skill once to proc Aspect of the Lynx really helps the damage and the survivability of the crows, as they'll leech a bunch of that damage as well. So we got 4 points in Serrated Claws and 4 points in Critical Bite. For the inventory, we have some uniques. So there's 2 uniques we're wearing on this build. We have Arter's Legacy, which is pretty much a given that you're going to use to get to 6 companions. But we also have the new Raven's Rise. This only took me 20 tries at the Gambler to get. So if you go gamble Outcast Gloves, you will have a very high chance to get this. I could have been really lucky. I don't know what the actual percentage drop is for it. I just know that it didn't take me very long to get it. But this gives our minions 24% increased movement speed. It gives our crows 24% less damage while moving. It also goes to +2 to spell minion skills. So our lightning crows, which are a spell minion, get +2 levels with this, so we don't even have to get plus levels on the chest. However, you can, and you'll have even more points, which will allow you to do more damage. It also gives you necrotic and lightning resistance. And then there's Arter's Legacy. I'm going to hover over the rest of these. Yes, I have a pair of Exalted boots on, which I said that I wouldn't put Exalted items on my characters, but when we streamed yesterday, I found a really nice pair, and right now we're kind of in a hurry to get this build out. I didn't want to go find new gear just to get rid of the boots, so they are on there, but it is possible to get 100% critical strike avoidance without having to have an Exalted item, so don't worry about that. For the new idols, we don't have 3 slots unlocked. I'm assuming there's a quest that I didn't do that never had a reward before. Probably going to go back in the story and have to unlock these, but for right now, the idols are not super important, so don't be too worried about them. I'm just running a bunch that give increased minion critical strike chance with lightning skills, which really helps us get to that 100% crit chance with the crows. And then I have some aspect of the lynx in there as well that have lightning damage for minions and for you. For the character sheet, as you can see, we're not capped on all resistances, but elemental and physical are pretty high. Necrotic is capped. Because we switched to a new pair of gloves, we didn't re-gear fully, but you do want to get a little more poison and some more void. Physical's fine where it's at, fire's probably fine where it's at, but you do want to get an affix of both the void and the poison to cap those out. We got about 20% armor, a little bit of dodge, but we're not building into dodge at all, and our damage isn't that high. We've got 266% critical strike multiplier, and not a whole lot of damage. Again, it's the crows that we want to do damage. We just want to have high attack speed to get our mana back, and to apply the buffs to the crows when we do melee hits. And then for the minions, we have 183% minion health. but we've got quite a bit of damage for them. The minions have 603% minion spell damage, and you can get that by putting minion spell damage on your swords. Had mine ready to go since we were doing it yesterday. And then the chest piece is the only new piece. With the chest, you can put Summon Frenzy Totem on autocast. I don't run anything on autocast. In this build, I kind of want to keep an eye on my mana because the Stormcrows are consuming it. But the first thing that I want to show is if I have the Stormcrows attack, you'll notice that they're hitting for pretty decent damage, but it's not great. It's not anything special. We're only critting for, 7,000 damage at most, 1,500 damage hits against the training dummy, which is barely anything. It is harder than the wolves hit naturally when you build into them, but it's not a whole lot of damage. But we're going to have them stop, and then I'm going to show you that once we get in a few hits, and we're buffing them up right now as we get our mana back, and then we have them attack. Now look at that. Now that they have the buffs, they have 30 to 40,000 damage crits, and they have a 100% crit chance. So you just have to make sure that you're attacking in battle and getting in some hits. And then if you really want to boost their damage to the max, not only do you get in hits, but you give them aspect of the links. So we're going to attack, then we're going to use the skill. I'm going to have these guys move back so that we can show this. We'll use the skill, which will come down, hit for 400,000 damage, and then have them attack. And now that they have aspect of the links as well as the damage boost, that's the maximum damage that you're going to get out of them. 100% crit, some really hard hit crits, and then they're leeching a huge portion of that damage. Now again, they'll lose that damage over time if you are not attacking, so make sure you get in there. This will give you your mana back, and this will increase the amount of damage that they're doing. Look at them, they're getting 50k crits in there. We'll throw down that, and boom, right now is the maximum damage they're going to do. We got about 60,000 damage ticks. That's a lot of damage, and it's been working really well so far into empowered content. Of course, in Empowered, it's probably going to come down to me dying before the crows, but we'll see as we continue on. That's going to be it for this build guide. Again, there's no build planner because Damon hasn't updated it yet, which means that it's corrupted and it just doesn't work. So for now, I'm just going to take screenshots of all the stuff and let you guys see it from there. The rest of it will just be in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope that you're playing Stormcrows and enjoying the new skill. Hope that you experiment and try it different ways, as there are many ways to build it. As you saw, we did 400,000 damage with the Crow Storm ability, and that's without the 360% multiple damage that you can get inside of the skill tree. So respecking and trying that, you can hit in the million. Again, that's going to be it from me. Hope you're enjoying the patch, and as always, stay safe, travelers.